Healthcare. There's a diminishing sense that our healthcare system is in crisis. We've thrown a lot of money at healthcare. 52% say we're in crisis, but 43% basically in good shape. Canadians see inefficiency, not lack of funding, as the healthcare system's major problem. 64% say it's inefficient. That's our problem. We ought to make it more efficient. So this, again, is going to be something you'll probably hear from the Conservatives running against Mr. McGuinty in the upcoming provincial election. Insufficient funding, only 28% think that. So the sense is we're giving a lot of dough, let's make it work for us. Large majorities across the country favor public funding for health care. We have consensus on that. Nobody is, of course, in this federal election or in any election is going to be talking about changing that. Or should we go back to the good old days when people paid for their own and you had private insurance? No, only 14% think that. Growing majority, however, want the right to buy private health care to ensure timely access. So we got public funding, are we all like that? But we've got the baby boomers who are saying, yeah, we want the system, but by the way, if you can't provide timely access for either for mom and dad who may need it, or for me, or for one of my kids, then we ought to be able to buy private health care. So these are going to be issues. The courts are deciding on this. It's an issue that's arisen in Quebec. And so the deference to the system is something that you won't find with boomers, and there's going to be greater calls for people for timely access for medical procedures that people want. Climate change, air quality, water quality are the top of mind environmental issues, but none are predominating, so we're not hearing much about the environment in this election. 15% say climate change. Well, that's just not enough people to get any party to other than the Greens, to make a big pitch on that issue. Mr. Dion did in the last election, and it didn't do him much good, or certainly the Green Shift didn't. Air pollution, 13%, so 11%, water pollution, fossil fuel depletion of resources. So essentially there's no one environmental issue, and that's why we're not hearing as much about it in this election. However, we do believe that the climate change is something that is caused by human activity. First of all, we believe it, so this is 55% of Canadians, that science is conclusive that global warming is happening, and it's caused mainly by human activity. Another 28% say, yeah, we believe there's global warming happening, but we're not sure that humans are the cause of it. And then you've got 15% who don't believe it's happening, so they obviously don't think that humans caused it. Although that is a logical possibility, I suppose. But a growing majority support new limits on greenhouse gas emissions, even if it means higher energy costs. So 38% strongly favor that, 42% somewhat favor limits on greenhouse gas emissions. Again, we'll see, the parties are making platitudinal claims on it, but it's not really central to their platform. 65% of us think we should push for new environmental initiatives, and 32% think we should not in August 2009. So again, yeah, we ought to do something, but when anybody makes a specific proposal, it's tough. Now in British Columbia, they had a carbon tax, and that government got elected, so it is possible. It's not impossible to bring about something as innovative as a carbon tax. The public remains divided on whether the oil sands development is good or bad for Canada. But in Alberta, they're not divided at all. It is obviously good for Canada, say 69%. Aboriginal people, 6 in 10 feel at least somewhat familiar with Aboriginal issues, but there's been little movement over the last decade. Canadians are more likely than not to believe Aboriginal peoples are victims rather than causes of their problems. So this is the statement that they're asked to agree or disagree with. In your opinion, have Canada's Aboriginal peoples largely caused their own problems, or have the problems been caused by the attitudes of Canadians and the policies of government? And the attitudes of Canadians and policies of government, 52% believe that, 30% believe that it's Aboriginal people have brought on their own problems, and that hasn't changed much over the last 20 years.